discuss about data organization. What is data? You all know. We have discussed it in earlier classes. So, what is data organization and why we do data organization? Yes. What
So
is data?
data organization is a kind of collection of data in systematic manner, so that we can use it easily in comfortable way.
We can use it in comfortable way. So why the need of data organization arises? What is the need of data organization? You have the data and you can analyze it right away. Why we first organize it? It's anyone.
So to make it easier.
To make it easier, how? What is the need to make it easier? Because that is a big chunk of data. Almost always there is a big chunk of data. You cannot handle it. There is confusion because of the size of the data. So we organize it. And what is organization? Yes. Yes, what is organization? Yes, Unnati, what is... Yes?
Sir, to arrange in a systematic way.
Systematic way in what way?
Sir, maybe in the form of tables or rows or columns.
Maybe in the form of table. But in a way, we organize data in a way where the comparisons are easy. We can make comparisons and we can make comparisons and one more thing you have told me earlier. Yes, you can see the board.
Categorization.
Yes.
Sir, categorization.
Yes, categorization it is, yes. Now we will discuss it about categorization. Comparison is possible and we organize data in a way, then conclusions are easy. Conclusions. Why we want conclusions from the data? Yes. Why we want conclusions from the data?
So to derive the results.
Results, yes. Conclusions to have decisions. Enable the data in a way that decisions can be taken. Decisions mainly for post facto and pre facto. Okay. So decisions and perhaps the most important. There are many techniques, but perhaps the most important technique of data organization is classification of data. Classification of data in groups. Classification in groups and subgroups on the basis of classification on the basis of classification on the basis of classification on the basis of homogeneity.
Their characteristics, yes.
Yes, similar characteristics. Yes, Abrar, you are right. Yes, Arif.
Sir, classification on the basis of need and purpose.
Yes, need and purpose, and on the we make groups and subgroups on the basis of certain characteristics, certain parameters. Okay.
Yes.
So that is the main characteristic of subgroups. But why to classify data? Why we classify data? Yes. Why we classify data? There is always a why. In studies, there is always a why. Why, where, how, when. These questions are very important in any paper, any subject. So, why? What are the benefits of data classification? data classification is a big part of data organization. Normally, we do organize data by classifying it. So sometimes they are synonymous. They are not synonymous, but sometimes when we say that we are classifying the data, actually we are organizing the data. And when we say that we are organizing the data, most of the time we are classifying the data. So what are the benefits of classifying the data?
Sir, after the classification of data, we can easily compare the data.
That was the aim of organization. What happens when we, after classification, what happens? Yes, after classification, what happens?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, it makes it for future use.
No, this future is, of course. No, what happens to the data is
So easier to find.
easier, or it is simple. The classification simplify the data. Easier, simplify. Classification is makes the data simple to see, simple to use, simple to understand. So first why is simplification. Data becomes simple to understand. Then what is any other? There is any other benefit? Yes. Is there any other benefit? Yes.
Sir, yes, sir, we can easily
Yes.
look the original data that we have
No,
according to
we
time.
have original data, but original data is a big chunk. There is a big chunk of data. So we organize by classifying the data. We are discussing what happens, what are the main benefits, why we classify the data. So first answer is to simplify. It simplifies the data. And one more thing, let me read you. It is distinctiveness of the data. When the data is simplified, you can see the distinctness of different groups, a different chunk of data. How one group or one subgroup is distinct from another.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So distinctiveness is very important. Otherwise, you have a big chunk of data. You can see if there is no distinctiveness, then it is almost useless. So distinctiveness is necessary, and you can infer or you can see distinctiveness when you simplify and classify the data. After classification, the data becomes. Otherwise, it is a jumbled group of facts. So you cannot you cannot see distinctiveness. So after distinctiveness, what is the natural result? Yes, what is the natural result? Yes, what is the natural result of distinctiveness? What can you see when you got distinctiveness in the data? What you can do?
So we can easily compare, sir.
Yes, comparability is increased. And comparability of the data is increased. We establish comparability of the data. Yes. Means? Yes. Comparability
Yes, sir.
means? Yes.
Comparability means, sir, we can easily compare one data from other data that we have
Yes.
after the distinctiveness or differentiation.
Of course. And we classify data and put data into form of, in which form we put the data after classifying?
In tabular form.
Tabular form and Yes, tabular form.
Sir, picture form,
Yes,
graphical,
pictorial. What type of pictures? Yes, what type of pictures?
pie, sir,
Yes,
pie
pie chart.
diagram,
Yes,
histogram.
yes, histogram. Sometimes it is time series data. We arrange data in time series. Yes, and simple graphs.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And
Sure.
there is a rose diagram. There is star diagram. There are many cartograms
And so on.
and so on. Yes, but is there any benefit of showing data in these forms: pie chart, histogram, time series, graphs? Uh, Let us leave time series from here. Histogram, graphs. But I mean to say that what is the advantage of putting data, classifying and putting data in pictorial form?
Sir, easily to understand.
Yes, easy to understand and comparability increases.
Yes, sir.
You cannot
Yes, sir.
easily compare between two tables, but you can easily compare between two histograms or two pie charts. And which type of pictorial representation you choose, it's up to you. Sometimes it is pie chart. And what is the purpose? Purpose mostly decides what type of pictorial representation you are going to take. Like, can you tell me for what pie chart is used? And there is one we have forgot, very simple bar diagram. Yes, is there any difference between bar diagram and histogram? Yes, is there any difference between bar diagram and histogram?
Yes, sir, there is.
What is the difference? Yes, Abrar?
Sir, I am a little confused, sir. I
You
can't
are a
just.
little confused. Okay. Look, bar diagram are like that. Hmm? These are bar diagrams. And these are histograms. These are bar diagrams or these are histograms. Is there any difference between these two? What
Sir,
difference?
दिख नहीं रहा सर.
Yes, क्या नहीं दिख रहा? What you cannot see?
ये सर बनाया कैमरा थोड़ा तिरछा है सर, इसलिए नहीं दिख रहा.
Okay. Now, is it visible or not?
नहीं सर.
अभी भी नहीं. Okay.
हाँ, अभी थोड़ा हुआ सर. अभी हुआ
Okay,
थोड़ा.
let me put it here. Now, is it visible or not? Yes.
Yes, sir.
It is visible now. Clear. So, this is histogram. Okay, I think it is not visible wholly. And it is bar diagram. You can see the bar diagram? No, I don't think.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Let me try it again. It is bar diagram. It is bar diagram. And this is histogram. Is there any difference? What difference you see?
Sir, gap, sir, gap.
Yes?
Main difference.
What is the difference?
सर हिस्टोग्राम में सर गैप नहीं है.
हिस्टोग्राम में डेप्थ नहीं है.
डेप्थ नहीं सर, गैप.
Yes.
सर गैप कह रहे हैं वो गैप.
Gap. Okay.
Multi.
And other than that?
सर मल्टी बार डायग्राम है वो यूज होता है फॉर कंपैरिजन टू आर मोर सेट्स ऑफ डेटा एंड सर जो है बार डायग्राम वो वन ही का होता है. वो अलग-अलग होता है.
I'm not asking you distinguishing different types of bar diagram. I'm asking you, is there any difference between histogram and bar diagram?
सर इसमें कंटिन्यूअस दिख रहा है सर डेटा का फॉर्म
Yes,
हिस्टोग्राम
yes. One thing is that, and any other thing?
Sir, in bar graph, length and width are same.
Yes. And yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Any other difference? Yes. Any other difference?
सर बार डायग्राम में सर दोनों बार के बीच में सर इक्वल स्पेस होंगे सर.
Yes. Yes. Now, what is the implication of this equal and unequal space? Yes. Yes. Is there any implication? Yes, you can see that someone told me that it is higher and it is not higher. Let me make it. Let me make a bar. Sorry, higher. Okay. Now it is higher bar. Actually, these two look similar, but they are very different. The width of our bar diagrams are same. Here it is not same. You can and actually the data shown is that the most important thing in bar diagram is this height, and histogram shows the data by this area. This area of this rectangle. Can you understand? These are very different things. They look similar, but they are different. Here the area denotes the data, and here the height denotes the data. Right? So they are very different. Okay. So we were at the question that what type of data is represented in pie chart? Yes, what type of data is represented in pie chart? Yes. What type of data is represented? What we show in pie chart?
Quantitative data, sir. Quantitative.
Yes, of course, quantitative data, but what type of data we represent?
The percentage proportions.
Yes, it is called the pie of the cake. Yes, like this. In bar diagram, this. And I think, what do you think, which is the most useful type of pictorial representation? Most simple and most useful? In my opinion, it is graph. Very simple. Why I'm saying that it is most useful? Yes. It can predict future. It shows you trends. You can assume that, suppose it is till 2021 or 2022. You can assume that all other factors being the same, the growth will be like that. This is the future growth, 2032, 2042. Right? You can predict the future. You can assume that all will be same, the trend will be same, and then you can predict the future. That is very useful to planners. So it is very, very easy. Of course, all these are useful. And why we, yes. So, and one more thing we were coming on to, the classification makes data simpler. Classification increases the distinctiveness of the data, and it increases the comparability of the data, and it makes the data attractive. It makes the data attractive, and to the reader of whom attention you are trying to grab, a very, very important thing. the data, the organization or classification of the data is very important. Attractiveness is very important. And one more thing, perhaps most important, is effectiveness. So, classification of the data makes the data simpler, it increases the distinctiveness of the data, it increases the comparability of the data, it makes the data looking attractive, and it increases the effectiveness. What is effectiveness? What is efficiency? Effectiveness. Here the effectiveness is almost similar in meaning to efficiency. Yes. What is efficiency? Yes. Yes. Inefficiency or effectiveness, less input gives you more output. So, less labor, less mugging, and less processing gives you more results, easy results, so that we classify the data. And what should be the characteristics of a good classification? To whom you will say that it is a good classification? What type of classification is good? Yes. Yes, what type? The data should be first. First, the data should be comprehensive. And now, comprehensiveness is, it gives you the wide picture, a wide, clear picture. The data should be a good classification. We will say that it is a good classification when after the classification the data is comprehensive and there is clarity in data. Now, this clarity is very important. Actually, one of the foremost reason we organize our classify data is the clarity of the data. We are trying to increase the clarity of the data. And there should be good homogeneity in the group. On which basis we are classifying the data? Resemblance or similarities and affinities. So there should be homogeneity. The data, the group should not be jumbled. Okay?
Yes.
And the data, a suitability of the data is very important. Or you can say that relevance of the data. Relevance of the data is, if you are given non-relevant data, you will make a much effort and you will waste much time, and then you will know that all your efforts are wasted. So that is a bad thing. If a classification of data is not taking care of relevance, then that is not a good classification. How much it is attractive or clear, doesn't matter. If it is not relevant, then it is almost useless. Right? And one more thing is a little different, the data should be elastic. Now, what is elastic data? Yes, what is elastic? The data should be elastic.
Sir, easy to change?
Yes, data should be flexible. Yes, very right. Who was that? Yes.
Sir, Arshi.
Arshi, yes, Arshi, very good. So, what we mean by flexibility here? Yes, what we mean by flexibility here, and what are the benefits?
Sir, for the modification, and if there is new finding, we can add it on.
Yes, if there is a new finding, the new information we add, and it is fully integrated into the main database. Suppose it is students' data. If a new information comes along, we will add to it and it gels with. We don't have to change everywhere. The data is, these days, the database is linked at too many places. We don't have to change every place. We have to change at one place, and we have to update at one place. It is to be updated at all places. So this should be flexible or elastic data. These are the main characteristics. Now we will see that on which types the data classification are made. Be very brief because we are not in statistics class, so we should be very brief. Yes. What basis are there for classification? On what basis the classification of data is made? On what basis? The main basis, yes. What are the main
time.
basis? Yes.
Sir, time.
Yes, time, of course. Let me take a simpler version. First, it is geographical. We classify, main classifications are there. First, it is geographical. Geographical means? Yes. Yes, geographical means? Yes.
Sir,
Yes, Abrar. Geographical means?
Sir, data according to location.
Yes, data according to location. Location based. We are
Yes, sir.
classifying data on the basis of location. And in geography, it is very, very important. Then it is chronological data. Chronological basis. We classify data on the basis of chronology. What is?
सर मतलब सर टाइम के अकॉर्डिंग क्लासिफाई
Yes,
करते हैं
according
इसमें.
to time.
sequential way.
Yes, according to time and according to sequence. Sequential basis. Yes, sequential. On the time series data and sequential data. What came first, second, third, in what year, at what time. Right? Then another basis of classification of data is qualitative data. What type of data we categorize as qualitative? Sorry, qualitative. What is qualitative data? Yes. Yes. What is qualitative data? Any example?
Sir, on the basis of marital status, gender,
Yes.
nationality.
Yes. Quality.
Intelligence.
Yes.
Virtue.
Intelligence. Yes. And
Religion.
intelligence, handsomeness, beauty, courage, right?
Goodness.
Goodness. That is qualitative data. You cannot exactly give a number.
Yes, sir. This is not in the numeral form.
Yeah, it's not. It can be a numeral form. We have discussed in previous classes. It can be in a numeral form for the sake of analysis, but they are not
Yes.
real numbers. And in this, there are two types. Simple, and we classify data in qualitative sphere, simple and manifold. On the basis of one or two characteristic or two qualities, and manifold on the basis of many qualities. So that is, manifold are simple on the basis of many qualities and the basis of one or two qualities. Okay, and then guess another basis. quantitative data. That is very important. Actually, all data have some quantitative element to it, isn't it? All data have qualitative element to it. Quantitative element to it. So it is quantitative when numbers define the data. Like exact numbers define the data. Exact number define the data. Like your height is 6 feet 3 inches. You got 78 marks out of 100. Or 55 out of 70. That is qualitative data. You worked 10 days in a row. Here numbers are defining the data. Exact numbers, real numbers are defining the data. So these are the main basis of. Then there are many ways of defining the data. Can you name some ways? Yes.